took place, a baptismal site. For the pastors group the next morning, and for the group from Emmanuel the second morning, we'll leave the hotel at 4:30 a.m. for anybody who wants to. It's totally optional. So if you are not into getting up and going, that's fine, okay? But I'll be on the bus at 4:30 if I'm by myself, and we go up to the top of Mount Arbel, and Mount Arbel is a spectacular view out over the Sea of Galilee, and particularly out over where Jesus ministered. And I'll be able to stand up there and kind of show you this is where that happened, and you'll get your best perspective from there. We will then do a 3-mile hike, and we'll climb down. There's one stretch that's straight down, and it's got handholds, so forth. We have lost very few people on this climb. But we'll climb straight down a cliff for just a very short stretch. The rest of it's just a walk. I'm never worried about this part. It's the loose stones when we're walking that always worries me, people turning ankles. But we have about a 3-mile walk back to the bus, back to the hotel, get our showers, grab something to eat, and get on the bus by about 8 o'clock. So, I mean, we're moving. But if those who want to do that will start that morning, that day. This is the next day. This is day 4 for the pastors. This is the afternoon of the day 4. For the other group, this is day 5. We'll take you up here and show you some neat things. A few years ago, probably 15 years ago now, they were putting a new road in Israel, and a bulldozer hit something, and it always hits something over there, and they had to stop and wait, and they found out as they began to pull it down, all the dirt down, that it was a house that was absolutely intact from the time of Christ. I mean, just intact. They didn't have to restore anything but put a roof on it, a thatched roof on it. And of course, it reminds us of the story where the man was lowered through the roof. And so we'll take you there and let you see what a house was like in the time of Christ, which will make a lot of sense to you. When you see so many ruins, when you see something that's intact, it kind of puts it together for you. So we'll go there. You'll see some other things up here. Plus, we eat some of my favorite food up here. I'll tell you about it later, but it's a big piece of bread with sour cream and jelly on it, and then they roll it up, and oh man, is it good. So we'll go up there and have lunch. Again, we'll see Mount Hermon, the highest mountain in Israel, about 10,000 feet. It'll have snow on it this time of year. It's just beautiful. So you'll get to see Lebanon and Syria. So that we'll spend a whole day up here for the second group in the north. This is Caesarea Philippi, where Jesus said, "Who do men say that I am?" This is that house I was telling you about. The next day we head south, both groups. For the pastors group, it's day 5. For the other group, it's day 6. We start here and go straight down. We'll stop at Beit Shan, a city that has been restored from the time, shortly after the time of Christ. It's amazing. It's just a spectacular ruin that's been put back together. So we'll stop at Beit Shan. We'll stop and see Gideon's Spring, where Gideon's men bent down to drink, and that's how they found who was going to be in the army. We'll stop at one of my favorite spots, Mount Gilboa, where Saul died, and where that final attack happened, and Saul died, and then, of course, David becomes king. And we'll climb clear to the top. The bus will, you don't have to. Climb clear to the top of Mount Gilboa. For the Emmanuel group, we're going to cut in here and see some other things. For the first group, both groups then, we go straight down through Jericho. Here's a disappointment to you probably. Jericho is in Palestinian control. We can go in, but it takes us half a day, because they have to change buses, check passports, and it's a wonderful thing to see, but it's just not worth it anymore because of time. So we'll drive by Jericho. I'll say, there's Jericho, and that's all you're going to see of it. I'll show you the Old and New Testament Jericho. We'll stop at Qumran, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, and then we'll go all the way straight down to our hotel, right down here, and we'll probably get there in time for you to take a dip in the Dead Sea. Beautiful swimming pools here at this hotel, massages, oils. I mean, you got the whole thing. It's like it is a spa. So we'll go down and hopefully we can get a group picture of a group float on the Dead Sea. So a big day for the pastors, a particularly big day, because we need to get the swim in that evening. We don't have an option. The other group will have an option the next day. These are the things we'll see. This is Beit Shan. This is the Mount Gilboa. That's me on the Dead Sea. This is where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, and so you'll see those things. The next morning, the second group will go to Masada and then back to the hotel. Emmanuel group and First Baptist group, I'm doing something that I've done a couple times, and I just think it's so valuable. We're taking a day off. We're just going to relax. We're going up to Masada, going to see that, and we'll be done by 11 o'clock in the morning. Then we'll have some options. If you want to go back and get a massage, if you want to go down and lay on the beach of the Dead Sea, go swimming, Or if you want to go see something else, we can go clear down to Timnah and see the tabernacle of God, the wilderness that's been built full scale. And so we'll vote. I mean, and actually, we'll split up. Some people want to do this and some people want to do that. That's fine. But it'll be a half a day free just to kind of relax and clear your head. The next morning is the mountain of Masada. We'll talk more about that later. Pastors group day 6, the other group day 8. We'll see Masada. Then we'll drive up through Beersheba. Why is Beersheba important? That's where Abraham camped. That's where he came and stopped. By the way, the Bible says when they describe Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, right? That's how they describe the distance. You will be in Dan on one day, and 2 days later you'll be in Beersheba. So you'll get to see kind of the opposite poles or the opposite ends. We'll drive from there up around Hebron, and we'll stop at Elah Valley where David and Goliath's story happened, and then we'll go into Jerusalem. Now here's where I don't know what we're going to do next. Depending on our time and depending on the tensions with Palestinians and so forth, we may switch over to another bus and go into Bethlehem. And going into Bethlehem is just, it's fun to see, but it's the only place I think the whole trip that you'll feel tense. You'll feel, because it just feels different when you're in Bethlehem. If we don't have time, we may go to Bethlehem Fields, Shepherd's Fields, where we don't have to change buses and go through all that and just see Bethlehem from the distance. So when we get there, we'll make those decisions, and I'd be glad to get your input on that, how you want to handle it. But here's again one of those no-win situations. If I take people there, this last year's group, I took the whole group into Bethlehem, spent a half a day there, and they go, why did we go there? And if I don't take a group, they always go, why didn't we see Bethlehem? So it's just kind of hard to know what to do, but we'll decide if there's tensions, we just won't go, obviously. So, but if it's possible, we'll decide at the time what to do. There's things you'll see. This is the day you'll enter into Jerusalem, and we'll give you a big overview of Jerusalem from an outlook, from an overlook. The next few days you're spending in Jerusalem, and we'll try to hit as many things as we can. The first day will be kind of modern stuff. We'll go through the Rabbi Tunnel, we'll go to the Western Wall and pray, and spend a little time there in worship. We'll go up on top of the Temple Mount and walk the Temple Mount. You probably already know this, but just as an aside, we can't take our Bibles, we can't pray up there, you can't hold your wife's hand. I mean, there's just no touching anything, but we can go up on the Temple Mount. We'll walk across and kind of give you a little tour of the Temple Mount. We'll walk you through the Old City. Those who want to that evening, we'll take the bus back to the hotel. Who want to go back, those who don't, I'll walk you all around the walls, the top of the walls of the Old City of Jerusalem. It's just a really neat thing to walk around and see the Old City from its walls. But it will cost you an extra, I think, $8 or something. So we'll tell you about that when we get there. Then we'll go to the model of the city. These are some of the things you'll see.